Oh yeah, Whit, we're out here on the practice tee here at the U.S. Open, and it is going to be a blast right here at Congressional Country Club. And you know what? All night long, we're talking accuracy, driver accuracy, iron accuracy, putting accuracy. It's going to be a ball. Let's do this!
The Golf Fix with Michael Breed. Brought to you by Sky Caddy.
That right there is a look at some of the scenes that we get to see here, not from the practice tee at Congressional Country Club where we're hosting the U.S. Open. Bethesda, Maryland is the place where we're going to be for the next week here. But where we're going to be for the next hour is right here on the practice tee from the U.S. Open. I actually hoped I would get here one day to play, but I get to teach, and I get to teach you all night long. You want to get in touch with us? It's very simple. Our email address is thegolffix@golfchannel.com. Telephone number 800-842-9987. Twitter, Facebook, and also send us the videos. We're not going to be able to answer any of this stuff tonight, but let you know that, well, you can see out here that it's a beautiful day and sunny, absolutely perfect. But sometimes, you know, we take a little precaution when we do some outdoor shows. We'll shoot a show from the set down in Orlando, and when we don't use it, well, what we do is we put it onto golfchannel.com. So if you want to catch over on golfchannel.com, when we're done tonight, you're going to get a chance to see that show that we did there telling you how to play better in the U.S. Open. And that's what we're doing here for the next hour. We're going to talk to you about the importance of playing successful golf here at the U.S. Open, what these players are going to face. And it's going to be a fascinating show all night long. Let's look at what we've got coming up on the show tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about driving accuracy. You've got to hit the ball in the fairway. The rough is thick out at the U.S. Open, and you've got to find the fairway. So accuracy is critical. We're also talking about some iron accuracy. And this is not just hitting it at the flag. This is controlling the ball's distance. And we're going to talk about the importance and what you need to think about in order to get your golf ball to fly consistently the same distance. And then we're going to talk about putting. And it is critical. And any time you're winning a tournament on the PGA Tour, you have to be able to putt well, but particularly in a U.S. Open. Remember what Graham McDowell did in his effort winning the U.S. Open. Those putts that he made were absolutely essential, particularly on Saturday. On Saturday, he was missing some fairways, had some tough lies in the rough there, and was able to get it into the fairway, get it up onto the green, and make some key 10, 12-foot putts to go on and winning his U.S. Open championship. So it was a fantastic job, and we're going to talk about that tonight. All right. You know, when you're at home and you're playing in these club championships, your major events, driving accuracy is absolutely essential. And in order for you to be able to shoot your lowest scores, you've got to get that ball into the fairway. One of the most important holes on the golf course here at Congressional Country Club this week is the 11th hole. It's a par 4, 494 yards. Let's take a little look here. You can see down through this chute of trees here, a little water on the right-hand side there, 494 yards. You're thinking, boy, this should be a par 5, or I've really got to bomb this. But these players are thinking, I've got to get this ball into the fairway, because when that goes into the rough, you're losing a lot of distance, and it's very difficult to hit long irons out of thick rough. Frank Nobilo, one of the very talented people involved with the Golf Channel, and also will be doing some very insightful things all week long on live from. He's going to go from tee to green and show you why this hole is so essential to get this tee shot into the fairway.
The two most difficult par 4s at Congressional are the closing hole, the 18th, and the 11th. This is the back of the 11th tee, and the most recent changes by Reese Jones were made on this very hole. There used to be 2 bunkers on the right-hand side close to the stream. They were taken out, and the fairway moved closer to that right-hand side. Now, this is a generous fairway, but I'm going to take you down there and show you why there's still a big advantage to drive it down the right-hand side. Now that the bunkers have been removed, this right side of the fairway, as you can see, is flat. So the ideal position here presents the player with a slightly uphill lie and a direct avenue at the green. Even if you come up a club short, you've got a relatively simple chip. Now, as we move across the fairway, you start to notice things. The hole actually becomes tougher. This is what the USGA wanted. A tee shot in the middle of the fairway starts to see a different look. You see a little bit more of the slope left to right. It's still not a difficult shot. It's when we start to move to the left side of the fairway, you see the real issues. We're starting to go up a little bit of a mound, and if we get here, the worst thing you want to do to go into a really long par 4 is to come off a hanging lie with the ball below your feet, because it normally presents two other options apart from the good shot. One is the fear of the pull left, you don't want to deal with those mounds on the left, or the flare off the ball below your feet, which brings the hazard in the right into play. So what the USGA has done is a very simple thing, removing two bunkers and providing a far better corridor to the 11th green.
You know, you're sitting there thinking driving accuracy is just getting the ball in the fairway, and what Frank has highlighted there is that it's not just getting the ball into the fairway, but getting it into the right part of the fairway, and that's one of the things that these players on a long hole like that, you get it into the fairway and you've got that hanging lie as Frank was talking about, and it gets incredibly challenging here, okay? All right, we're going to throw a little power of 3 at you right here on how to hit the ball a little bit straighter. And the first thing that you want to do is you want to grip down on the club. Most of you are sitting here, you're holding this club way up here like this, so you can see how it almost looks like my hand is overlapping that entirety of that grip. What I want you to do when you're gripping down is I want you to grip that so that there's almost 2.5 inches of grip showing right there, and then you put your other hand on there and it almost looks like there's more grip on this side of the grip than on the club head side of the grip, all right? So gripping down on the club, what it's gonna do is it's gonna shorten the length of the club, obviously, but it's also gonna tell you that you're holding a club you're not trying to hit as far as you can. The driver is one of those clubs where it's got an unknown distance. You're gonna try to hit it as far as you can. The second we grip down on this thing, now all of a sudden that's gonna help us understand that this is just about getting this ball to go into the center of the fairway or go to the side of the fairway that we're trying to aim to, okay? Now, the second in this power 3 is understanding the importance of hitting it in the center of the club face, all right? I've got a little drill here that I'm gonna do with a couple of tees, and it's very simple. You just put that one tee there, put that other tee there, and you're gonna notice that I've got that on a little bit of an angle right there. I'm sure you can see that. I've got that on a little bit of an angle. That's the path that I want this club to move through on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grip down on the club, as I mentioned before, and then I'm just gonna make some swings here. And what I wanna do is I just wanna get used to what this feels like for this club to just go through here. And the only tee that I'm gonna hit is that middle tee, so you can see that that middle tee is gone, and those other 2 tees are still intact. When I hit the ball in the center of the club face, that's when I start to get the ball to fly its straightest and most consistent. Once you hit it out on the toe or in the heel, that's when it really starts to curve a lot. This little drill is gonna assist you with making sure that you get it in the center of the club face, okay? So let me show you how that works. Got that right like that, right there. Get my target. You always want to have a target. We grip down on this right here, and now I'm just gonna go right through there. And only 1 tee standing, so this drill is helping me out a little bit. Now, the other reason why you're gonna miss that center of the club face, or why you're gonna miss this path here, is that your balance is off. And what's critical for you to do is to make sure that you have great balance. When you lose your balance, what ends up happening is that you're hitting it all over the face, popping it up. All right, so what we wanna do is we wanna make sure we've got great balance. In order to get great balance, let me get these other tees out of here. In order to get great balance, what we have to do is we have to maximize that speed when we want it. So you're starting your speed this way, and what I want you to do is I want you to let your body kind of turn here and make sure that you feel when you finish that you're in your balance. So practice making sure that you can swing at a speed so that when you're hitting that shot, that ball's gonna stay to its apex. You're gonna hold your finish until that gets to its apex and ultimately to the ground. You should be able to stay right where you started, all right? Those 3 things are gonna help you find the center of the fairway or find the part of the fairway that you're trying to aim at. Lots of stuff coming up tonight. Want to remind you about Frank Novelo's Tee to Greens. We're going to get a chance to look at some more Tee to Greens in the show, but remind you that you can find those on Live From all week long right here at Congressional Country Club. So much to cover tonight on The Fix. We're going to talk about some iron accuracy, putting accuracy. We're talking about some rough, tons of stuff. Don't go anywhere. You're watching The Golf Fix.
Can you handle a run of 3 straight bogeys and still bear down on a 7-footer for par on the next hole? That's what it takes at a US Open. Can you find the fairway on the 5th hole, on the 43rd hole, on the 72nd hole? That's what it takes at a US Open. Can you make a 4-footer after a 5-footer, after an 8-footer for 4, maybe 5 straight days? That's what it takes to win at the US Open.
The Golf Fix, brought to you by the new SkyCaddy SGX, more than the next generation rangefinder. Golf Pride, #1 grip on tour.
USGA volunteers come from Tucson, La Jolla, and South Georgia, from Bennecock, Maine, and Tupelo, Mississippi, from the valleys of Montana and the canyons of Manhattan. But they all come for the same reason, a deep and abiding love for the game. Oh, they like the hats too. We couldn't put on our USGA championships without our USGA volunteers. If we are the guardians of the game, they are our foot soldiers.
These are some of the faces from the first tee of Baltimore and Prince George's County. They've come out to the, and why wouldn't you want to come out to the practice tee at the US Open, right? So much to cover tonight. We are now going to talk about iron accuracy. And iron accuracy is essential in a US Open. When the greens start to pick up in their speed and the greens get firmer, what in effect happens is greens shrink. So you have to be so much more accurate. And I'm not just talking about at the flag. If you're trying to hit your 6-iron 165 yards, it's got to go 165 yards. It can't go 170. And so what's happening is you've got to land it at the exact right spot. We're going to talk about that iron accuracy. One of the key holes showing the importance of iron accuracy is this par 3, the 7th hole. 173 yards here, a beautiful par 3, 2 bunkers here guarding the green there, and there's a lot of undulation. Again, Frank Nobilo had a chance to go out here and look at this particular hole in his tee to green segment here in Live From. Let's listen to what Frank has to say.
The 7th hole is a relatively short par 3. It's going to play anywhere between 160 or 180 yards, depending on where the tees are located, as well as where the hole's cut on this green. Now, this green is diabolical if you miss it. It sort of sits up there and it's all moundy. But some crazy things can happen here at 7. You can hit a shot that looks like it's going to come over the back of the green, then all of a sudden it'll start to run back. Now remember, this hole's sandwiched in between 6 and 9, so there's a chance to get on a bit of a birdie run. Now, right now, these greens are running at about 11.5. Come Sunday at the US Open, they're going to be running at 14.5. They're going to be so much quicker. So all these mounds will come into play. And that's when you start to see these 20-footers with about 20 feet of break. You see the crazy things. And a lot more will happen here at the 7th green. And you never know, one of those crazy things, those really crazy things, like a hole-in-one, just might happen here at 7.
Boy, a hole-in-one, that certainly would be entertaining. Love to see that. All right, so some iron accuracy here, and it is essential to make sure that you strike this ball properly, all right? We've got to make sure that we strike it properly. So there's 3 things. In fact, you know what? Let's throw a power 3 at him, Schultze. Let's throw a little power 3 at him. You got it pulled up there? Beautiful. All right, so power 3. First thing we're going to talk about is making sure we have the proper posture. And I'm going to put this on a tee because remember, we're on the 7th hole. It's par 3. Always tee the ball up when you're on a par 3. All right, posture. One of the most important things that you can do when you set up to hit the golf ball, no matter what the shot, putting, chipping, full swing, whatever, is set up properly. You've got to make sure that you're bending properly in the waist here with a little bit of knee flex. I see so many people set up like this, or so many people rounding their back, and that is going to greatly inhibit the way your body is supposed to move, which is through a little bit of body rotation, but it's going to affect your ball contact in the bottom of the arc. So you've got to make sure that you get set up correctly. And to that point, I want to make sure that the weight is in the arches of your feet. I don't want you out here on the balls of your feet or on the toes. That's for sports where you're going up and down. We're a sport here where we're rotating around in a circle. I want the weight in the arches of the feet here. So we get set up in the arches, our rear is out here with our back is nice and flat. Arms are hanging down, not up and out. That will create some tension here. So make sure you pay attention to that posture, okay? Now,